Sheriff, let's start with you. You're a Republican. You're also running for Congress. Does
Yes.
Donald Trump's plan of a so-called deportation force to do this humanely or however else, physically removing some 11 million people, is that logistically feasible?
It's logistically very difficult, and I think that where we should start and where the focus should be, on everybody should agree, is on the criminal element. A small minority of these illegals that are committing very serious crimes that have not been deported, and that's where a lot of this anger is coming from, and we should focus on that, is target the tens of thousands, not the 12 to 20 million illegals who are here, but focus on these folks and deport them legitimately out of our country, never to return again. And that's where I'm angry about that as well. They're releasing, and they're not just from Mexico, they're from countries of interest. We had right here in Arizona, one from Sudan, one from Iraq, one from Russia, and this Russian murderer they released into my county, and then tell me 2 weeks after. That's the problem here. The entire system is broken for immigration. There is no consequence, and therefore there is no law.
So, Andy, I mean, you know the criticism is not just from President Obama, from some Republicans as well. We heard it from John Kasich, that it's basically impossible to physically remove 11 million or however many undocumented or illegal immigrants there are in this country. To that, what do you say?
Well, first, we all know, I mean, John Kasich is barely even a candidate. I mean, his poll numbers are so low, so that's grasping at straws. As far as illegal immigration, we know it's a crime, and I agree with the sheriff that we're going to go after the criminals first. Donald Trump has a plan, and that's to build a wall with a big door to let good people back in legally. And if you're here illegally, that's a crime. When you commit a crime in this country, you get punished. And I think it's Hispanic Americans who are most in favor of this, actually, because they hate illegal immigration, because they're the ones suffering, whether in the United States when you're suffering when illegal immigrants are creating crimes, or if you're overseas and you happen to be Hispanic, you want to get into the United States illegally, they can't because people are line cutting, and these line cutters need to be deported because they're criminals.
Maria, I mean, the idea of a so-called deportation force, you heard from President Obama, you hear from Hillary Clinton criticizing Donald Trump, but Republican voters, frankly, don't care a lot about that criticism. And to Andy's point, this is something that's very popular. Donald Trump has surged in the polls because of his position on this.
It is very popular within the Republican right-wing base, Anderson, and I think this is exactly the challenge that the Republican Party is facing going into a primary process where those right-wing voices are the loudest and, yes, the angriest, and are the ones that will come out to vote in the primaries. But then when you get to a general election where there are more sensible voices out there, you have general mainstream Americans, including the whole lot of Latino voters who, by the way, do not agree with this, do not like Trump. He has a unfavorable among Latinos of over 80%. The one good thing that Donald Trump is doing with Latino voters is actually mobilizing them and getting them to register to come out and vote, and they will come out in record numbers next year. So his plan is absolutely unworkable. When you talk about illegal immigration and focusing on the criminal element, this is what President Obama has been doing for the last 2 years with prosecutorial and would have been what could have been done with a bipartisan comprehensive immigration reform, which is the solution that most Americans support.
That's not
Andy,
true.
I mean, Andy, you know the Democrats are going to use that term, a deportation force. They're going to run commercials about it. I mean, are you worried, beyond the logistics, are you worried at all about the perception of what it may do in a general election to the Republican candidate?
Well, Anderson, I just think it's a misnomer when, pundits like Maria here say that Latinos are so anti-Trump when that's not the case. I mean, if you look at Republican Latinos, especially in like the state of Nevada, they're very pro-Trump, and it's a misrepresentation in the media, which the general populace who are not paying attention right now to the political campaign, when they start paying attention 4 to 6 months from now, they're going to realize that Trump's message is on point, and a lot of Latinos agree that illegal immigration is a major problem. And Latinos will be the major beneficiary when we get the illegals out and we have a proper process where people can come to this country. Anderson, one last thing. Right now, we only allow less than 750,000 Americans to come in legally into this country, and we have over 12 million that are here illegally. We need to fix that problem so we can have more people come here legally, because it's the lifeblood of this country. Latinos are the lifeblood of this country, and the people who commit the crimes need to go, starting with the gang members.
So, Anderson,
Sheriff,
if I could just...
well, no, let me get the Sheriff. Sheriff,
Okay.
I understand your point about targeting criminals first. That obviously makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
You don't want people who are here, attacking other people, hurting other people. But the idea of a deportation force, which is the term that's now being tossed around, to you, as not only as a Republican but as an American, what do you worry about the effect that would have on the Republican Party in a general election when used by the Democrats?
Look, this is the problem. This didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen just with Barack Obama. It's exacerbated because of him, but this happened under Republicans as well. This has gone on for decades. Remember the last time, Simpson-Mazzoli in '86, it was President Reagan who signed for 2 million illegals to get citizenship, and everybody thinks that every illegal wants citizenship. Only about half of them took it. The other half just wanted to work here. So we got here. I'm not supportive of people getting here illegally. I'm fighting against it every day. But it's not helpful when the president, to the point made earlier, saying the president has been deporting all these criminals. The fact is he hasn't. And that's why we're in this fight here where people are so angry. 67,000 criminal illegals, the violent ones, have been released into our community. And we've got guys like Grant Ronenbach, who wanted to be a deputy with my agency, who was shot right beneath his left eye, executed by a criminal illegal who had raped and did a home invasion, and this guy was out on the lam to commit other crimes. Nobody should be for this, and this is what's happened. The rule of law has been undermined. So if we can have a little bit of both, we're not going to build the Great Wall of Mexico. And I'm a combat engineer in the Army. We need about 700 miles of border, not 2,000 miles.